Tucker Kraft is the most versatile and agile and fast tight end we've had since Jermichael Finley.
I've clearly done my research on our tight ends.
Welcome back to episode 2 of That Wisconsin Sports Show. I'm your host, Aaron, with always
Clayton Wallner.
We have a lot of Wisconsin news today, of course. We're going to be talking about the Packers mostly, and then going into the Brewers a little bit, and then a little bit with the Bucks, and maybe some other stuff.
You got a few stuff written down whatnot.
This is the time of year where it's like the rumor mills are starting up. We're really starting to feel, what these rookies can be, these players going into year 2, what jump are they going to make? Mm-hmm. And that happens throughout the NFL, but I think specifically with the Packers, for how young of a team we are, there's a lot of speculation of where we're going to be. So it's it's entertaining. I mean, a lot of things we're seeing now is, our wide receivers coach and our quarterbacks coach, is talking up our players and stuff. So I think it's fun to see just what we're going to be, but I'm not sure if it's all baloney or what we're looking at here.
Yeah, it's fun to see. A few wide receiver things that I saw. I saw Samori Toure put on 10 pounds, and he looks completely different, which is huge for us.
Yeah, our wide receivers coach said he was one of the players that made the biggest jump this offseason.
Yeah, which is great to see because he didn't get much playing time last year. I mean, he did when some guys were going down. I know he had that big touchdown against the Bills, but it was that was kind of garbage time, it felt. So it'll be cool because he'll definitely have a way bigger role this year. And just seeing a guy like him putting on 10 pounds of muscle, that's huge, especially for the NFL to stay tough like that.
Drug test coming his way.
Yeah, exactly. He'll get a random. He'll get a letter in the mail from Goodell.
I did see that our entire wide receiver core's cap hit this season is $9.4 million. In comparison. You're about to pay Davante Adams a couple years ago, $20 million plus.
Yeah.
So that would have literally tripled our cap hit.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about because it's would I want Davante Adams right now? Yeah, but if we're paying $10 million less for our entire room, I'll take that and have some hiccups early. But if we're not paying him for another because our guys are pretty young, we're not gonna pay him for another 2 years unless some of them go crazy. Let's say Watson goes crazy this year and we give him an extension right away. But it's very cool to see, because the cap has been an issue for the Packers with Rodgers and Adams, because Rodgers took up so much room. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects what Goody wants to do and just the front office.
It really feels like this is the first time in a long time we have a breath of fresh air with our cap money.
Yeah.
Instead of where can we move money around? What can we do here? It's no,
right.
we have money to spend, and we can utilize it the way we want to. I don't think that means we're going to be going into free agency and making a bunch of jumps, because I think that would just be, you're getting your hopes up as a Packer fan to assume the team's going to make a big splash in free agency. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only year in recent memory was with 2019 when we got Amos, Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith.
Yeah.
And those guys, it's besides for that year, which was a year where we needed a lot of new pieces, there has not been a lot of years where we've been able to add in free agency. So
yeah, and I was seeing I don't know, people have said this for 3 years, but Jarvis Landry to the Packers, people are always saying that, and I saw that earlier this week. I was I don't know, I don't think we need him. I haven't heard his name in a while.
No, at April of last year, I wrote an article talking about how much we just should not sign Jarvis Landry and how bad of a move that would be. But because I think he's just an older player, injury prone. He doesn't have that top end speed anymore. The thing that he could bring to our team, which maybe is in dire need right now in our offense, because we lost Mercedes Lewis, we lost Randall Cobb, we lost all these veteran guys, is that veteran presence. We don't really have a veteran presence in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, really just on the defensive side, I guess Campbell, even though he's pretty young, but he has some experience.
He's already in his 30s, isn't he?
Jair, Devondre's pretty close. I think he's maybe exactly 30. Because I don't know if we have anyone that old on the defense. 29, 30, something like that. And Aaron Jones, obviously, and Bakhtiari. So our offense is fine. I don't think we need a guy like that. Aaron Jones is obviously he's always, even off the field, he's always the one of the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees and stuff. Having a guy just like that's keeping the locker room just a level head and knowing that just being a good guy, and like it's more than just like what you do on the field. Just like having a guy like that who's also amazing on the field. He's an incredible player, but like having just guys like that who are just consistent, great people off the field as well is important.
So something that I would want to note that is just how I feel like a lot of veteran presence is needed when there's a lot of divas on a team or something like that. We got to wrangle those guys in. I don't feel like the Packers have to deal with any huge voices. I mean, we have Jair who gets pretty loud, but I feel like everyone kind of we get behind him when he does that.
Yeah, I would say mostly the divas, I guess, if we're calling them that, is like only like on the field stuff. Like there's no one that's really caused problems off the field to the Packers in a long time, other than like some like I don't know, like I can't even really think of anyone. And I think that
say Za'Darius, but
Za'Darius, I guess, but like, even most of our guys just do all their talk on the field, which is fine by me. I don't know, you do whatever you want to do. But I think that speaks volumes to just how like the culture that's built around the team. There's really no, I mean, people would say Rodgers, I guess, for a while because he was weird off the field, but he wasn't in trouble. He never got in trouble. It's just, yeah. So I mean, that's a big thing to talk about too. Just like with these young guys, you just hope that they're making the right decisions and stuff. I know we're going to Vegas this year, so that'll be interesting. We'll see. Just put a bunch of 24-year-olds in the Vegas Strip.
It's gonna be some of those videos. I bet we're gonna see coming in. We'll definitely be showing them on this podcast when we see some, clubbing from the guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was there when I was 18, and I was like, first of all, it's just too young to be there.
You gotta be 21 if you're going to Vegas.
Yeah, don't go to Vegas if you're not 21. But like, just like seeing that stuff there, I'm like, oh man, like I can't believe, like even like the Henry Ruggs stuff, which is like awful, but like, just like it just makes sense. Like that place is horrible. Las Vegas is horrible.
It's just way easier to get do stuff like that.
Yeah, and they always have those like criminals on the Raiders, so it just like makes sense.
It's a big difference than Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is basically just living in a small town.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest reason why we don't have issues. There's nothing. You couldn't commit a crime if you wanted to. There's nothing to do there.
Exactly. Something we were talking about our receivers being so young. Tucker Kraft, our third round rookie tight end. We got him out of SDSU. Actually had an offer from Alabama going into college, but opted to go to SDSU because he wanted to stay closer to family.
I did not know that.
So somebody who has, the ability to play for a team like Alabama but went to its SDSU, I think is one of those like sneaky picks we can get.
Dude, I actually did not know that. This is brand new information.
I know, I kept it from because I wanted to see
seriously, like there's like I'm sure he was like a freak athlete in high school. I'm assuming he's from San Diego or not SDSU,
South Dakota State,
not San Diego State. It's just, I mean, it's the same acronym, but yeah, dude, I did not know that. I mean, I don't know. He's more known for like run block? Like he's more known for blocking, right?
Oh no.
Is Musgrave more blocking? Because one of them is
Musgrave is a little bit better at blocking, but Tucker Kraft is the most versatile and agile and fast tight end we've had since Jermichael Finley.
I've clearly done my research on our tight ends.
I just watched this because in the FCS championship that he played in, where the SDSU beat NDSU, they kicked NDSU's ass in that game.
Yeah.
So there was a play where it was, I think, like on the 30-yard line or something like that, and he just took the top off the entire play. And it was like a wide receiver, streaking down the field, but it's a tight end doing it.
That's awesome. So, I'm gonna have to check that out. I remember watching that game. I mean, I don't remember specifics. I just remember SDSU winning.
But, you had it on in the background.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because I was like, FCS championship. I'm like, whatever. Little did I know the tight end was going to be on the Packers this year, which is pretty cool. I mean,
I love that.
We haven't used a tight end in ages. Jermichael Finley was kind of like when I was in I guess when we were in elementary, middle school, kind of like that era.
Yeah.
I do not dude. I don't remember much. I just know he was really good and then broke his neck.
Yeah, it was
which sucks.
Tough scene.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we've utilized, Tunyon and was 2020, got 10 touchdowns. But
yeah. He was more goal line, though. He wasn't really stretching the field.
Exactly, and that's what, Tucker Kraft can do for us and stretch the field more. And, be a safety net for Jordan Love, who's going into his first year starting.
Mm-hmm.
His first year starting quarterbacks almost always utilize tight ends way more than ordinary quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, like a security blanket. I mean, you see that with
exactly
Mahomes and Kelsey. You saw that even with Waller. Waller's a little different because he was like a actual receiver more than like a tight end. But yeah, you see that like consistently. I mean, obviously Brady, his whole career had Gronk
exactly.
as a safety blanket, and Gronk was incredible. We'll see. I mean, we're not saying Tucker Kraft is gonna be Gronk. We're just saying it's important to have a security blanket like that.
For sure, I feel like the tight end position is not as much anymore, but is still undervalued a lot for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a player who can play receiver, but also can put their hand in the dirt and make a block is something huge. All right, so what I wanted to get into was the ChatGPT All Packers team that a lot of people have been doing online.
Yeah, it's a very cool technology. Like you just ask them. You just ask ChatGPT build an all-time Packers lineup.
It's interesting.
It is very cool. I've done it with baseball and stuff too. It's it's cool. I mean, it's just interesting to see what they come up with, cuz I don't know how they come up with it. I don't know who they is.
The thing that's true. The thing I noticed the most with this is that it really takes out all the emotion of being a fan.
That's true.
What it means to be a Packer fan. It's just looking at just pure stats, pure
just production. Really.
Exactly. So, to start off here, we're gonna have a graphic on the screen. The all-time Packers quarterback is Bart Starr.
Okay.
And this actually made me think a little bit. There is an argument to be made that Bart Starr is the all-time Packers quarterback. He's the only one to win 2 Super Bowls, and he's the one who really kicked off the entire, dynasty. Or I wouldn't say dynasty, but just kicked off what the Packers are today in the modern era.
Well, yeah, he was the first great quarterback in the line that we've had, and then obviously he kind of was the start of what we know as the Packers today. We definitely wouldn't have the historical mark on the NFL if it wasn't for him. And I mean, legacy is a huge thing for Packers too. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people that think Bart Starr is the greatest because of what he won and the what he meant to the city too. Just because you look at Favre and Rodgers, they're very different from Starr. Obviously, different eras.
Right.
But it is interesting. I mean, you definitely can make the argument. I mean, personally, I'd say Rodgers, but that's more just my emotion and what we watched. It's easier to make that.
That's what I would say the same thing too.
Yeah.
And then it gets into some interesting things. I mean, Amon Green, I would say that's pretty fair. I would say most Packer fans would say that he's still the all-time leading rusher for the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And then for wide receivers, I thought it was interesting because it's only 2. It's Don Hudson and Sterling Sharp. Sterling Sharp only being there for 6 years.
Should be a Hall of Famer, but
For
that's an argument for a different day. But for this team, dude, it's so tough. For me to think of stuff like this because I only think about who I've watched.
Exactly.
And I would definitely put Don Hudson. Because Devontae was only here for
What year was he drafted?
He was
in
2014.
2014 to
So he was
2021.
His prime really was about 5-6 years with
the
Packers. So him or Sterling Sharp, definitely. And the running back was Amon Green. They didn't even put two on there.
No, just the one.
I mean, I don't know.
Fullback was John Kuhn.
John Kuhn. I would have put John Kuhn, or I don't know. It depends on what you define as a fullback. Because I know Jim Taylor in those 60s.
That's true.
He was they had the power sweep, that really famous play with Vince Lombardi.
It's interesting. Some of the some people did a few different iterations of the questions they asked ChatGPT to create that all-time Packers lineup, and sometimes it created a little bit different of what it actually was. So I saw in some it was Taylor at just the running back position, and then in the one I'm looking at here, it's Amon Green.
Okay.
And then, but it's interesting because I would say personally I would take Sterling Sharp in his prime over Devontae.
Yeah. It's so close. I mean, it's really close because they were better at different things, but Sharp should be a Hall of Famer. Adams will probably get there, but I think Sharp. He might. Yeah, Don Hudson's probably the greatest. Wide receiver to play for the Packers, but in terms of like talent and like all around production, it may be Sterling Sharp as like the best wide receiver to
The
wear our jersey.
the thing that's bad, that sucks for Don Hudson is just how crazy of an athlete he was for 1935. That's when he
Right.
came in to the Packers.
Exactly. It's actually a shame that he wasn't in like at least the 60s or 70s.
Because if he was
He would
in
hold
that era, yeah.
he would hold every record forever. I mean, he still holds some records, and it was in an era where they didn't even pass.
No, he made them pass because he was so good at
He was
getting the
insane.
ball.
He was insane.
It was great. And then, so for our tight end, Paul Kaufman, of that like 70s era, before.
We're not
Favre.
a tight end rich team.
No.
We definitely I have no really real argument for tight end. I really don't. I mean, we don't ever use the tight end.
Just give Tucker Kraft 2 years and
Tucker
we'll be all
Kraft,
good.
yeah. Give the Bama guy 2 years and he'll be on this list.
Offensive line, not a lot of surprises. Left tackle, Forrest Gregg, Gail Gillingham. Left guard, Jim Ringo. Center, Jerry Kramer, right guard. And then Mark Tosher, right tackle.
So
Any
just
surprises
everyone from the 60s.
there? Pretty much. Mark Tosher from 2010 was on our team. I don't know if you want to say Brian Balaga. Maybe
Brian Balaga might be the best, at least in our era. Since we've been watching. I mean, Bakhtiari is really good, but Bulaga was, just incredible. Like, he was insane. And he had that fat contract.
Oh, yeah.
Was it... Well, because we didn't want to pay him. And I think he was just he just was injured a lot near the end of his time. But, yeah, Bulaga. I mean, O-line, you can put anyone there. We've had a lot of good guys.
Our defense gets a little more interesting, with our defensive line with... Willie Davis, I think it's pronounced. Reggie White, of course. Gilbert Brown, and then I always forget how to pronounce his name. It's Kabir. Gudra. I'm gonna put it up on the screen right here. If you want to try to pronounce it, go right ahead, because I can't pronounce it. I remember him because he was. I think he played in the wild card game with the Falcons and the Packers in the wild card game in Michael Vick's first playoff game where, I thought,
what year was that, our Super Bowl year?
No, because we lost that game. Remember, that was the first loss we at home in Lambeau in the playoffs and maybe ever. It was some crazy stat that we had there. And then the linebackers, Ray Nitschke and Clay Matthews, Dave Robinson are the three guys there. Not a lot of surprises there. I don't think so.
No arguments.
And then corners are fun. At our number one corner, it's Herb Adderley, and then at second corner is Charles Woodson. And I think maybe you could say that's just because of time being there, but Herb Adderley was only there with our team for 8 years.
Okay.
So, but I think I would put Woodson at number one, but that's probably a lot of bias.
I mean, Woodson, he may be the most talented athlete to ever put on a Packers uniform. He was insane. He had 9 pick sixes as a Packer, and he only played for us for 100 games.
He's still one of my
Defense Player of the Year,
favorite
Super
players
Bowl.
of all time.
Yeah, I mean, easily one of my favorite players. It was just because that was really when I started watching a ton. Was around his time and Clay Matthews and those teams, and he was just he was just such a great athlete, too. And I know they wanted to see if they could put him on offense because he did that in college. But by the time he got to the Packers, he wasn't really, in his prime athleticism. He was kind of more just good at one thing. But he was so much fun.
Again, though, this kind of goes to the fact, I would have put Charles Woodson as my number one corner. But, it's when ChatGPT is doing this, it's purely based on statistics and what they do on the field as a whole
it doesn't take into effect eras or anything like that. I think by the time Aaron Jones is done as a Packer, I think he'll be the best running back in franchise history.
I don't think he's that far off.
He's not that far off, and I just want us to win something because I do think he can make the Hall of Fame. I really do. I mean, he's that talented. But obviously it's so competitive and it's hard to get into the Hall of Fame. I just think he's just so, the way he runs and how smart of a runner he is too. And like for his size, he's so physical too. Like he gets hit so hard, and I've never seen him stay down except for like some like freak injury that he may have.
I'll say this: if Aaron Jones was on like the Tom Brady Patriots team, and they were like 4 or 5 rings there,
Yeah.
where he was, playing at the same level he's playing at now, but he was on one of those teams that won a bunch of Super Bowls, he would be in conversation for Hall of Fame.
100%.
Even
Yeah.
if just the amount of time he spent in the NFL now, like just with the stats he has, I think you could say that.
Yeah, because he's like 29?
28?
28, 29, something like that. And he's still right in the heart of his prime. So, yeah, he's definitely someone that I'm excited about for this year. But in terms of all time, that is so interesting. Like, I'd have to, like, list out my players because, like, I would definitely put emotion into it because I'm like...
You can't not put emotion
like,
into
I don't
it.
think about... When I think about, like, my favorite Packers, I don't think about, like, production as much as I think about, like, what they made me feel as a kid. Like,
right.
Like, my childhood and stuff like that. Like, that's why, like, no athlete will ever, like, top what Rodgers did for me as a kid just growing up and, like, watching him every day. And you got to think about, like, someone like Jordy Nelson, too, for that list. I know we go to Devontae right away, but Jordy, it's
Jordy
like I love
always
Jordy
he's
so
always
much.
my favorite receiver growing
He's
up.
like he's the only Packers jersey I got, and it's just like just everything around that, like 2010 to like 2015, those 5 years is just like so fun. I would include a lot of players on that
like
list.
Half my team would be like 20 to 20.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, it would be all like probably put BJ Raji on there just cause he put us in the Super Bowl.
He probably maybe could have been on that list if he would have played out his entire career. But
yeah, that was sad. I remember like when he left. Well, because he left and he was only going to be gone for like a year. He just wanted to like take a year off. He was dealing with some stuff, injury, maybe some mental.
It was a lot of I read into this a lot a couple years ago because I was interested. Like what happened to him? And it was a lot of just family stuff where he's like away from his family and realizing, making all this money, but I'm not getting to spend time with the family, which is the most important thing to him. So I think it's admirable that he stepped away from the Packers, and it makes me, as a person who loves BJ Raji, it makes me love him even more for doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean it takes a lot. I mean turns down. I mean that's a lot of money too. I mean if he kept playing, he definitely would have gotten another contract and would have gotten paid more. So it's sad. I always thought he was gonna come back. It's like maybe someday he'll just emerge from the shadows, from the tunnel.
It's like years and years. He's like, he will return eventually.
Yeah. I always thought that. I thought that for like 2 or 3 years. I thought it was like maybe he'll come back, and he just never did. And I was like, oh, well, he's got to deal with his own stuff, and it's sad, but...
I remember even like in 2018, 2019, people were like, is he going to come back? There's like some rumors and stuff.
So, yeah, that's all fun, like, just to like go back on like, maybe one of these episodes we'll like list off our teams or something like that, but we'll have to go into that. But, yeah, this is what we do in the off season. Yeah, we go through a bunch of all-time teams that an AI made, something that has no emotions, and we go through their team.
What a weird time you live in, where
it's
the
insane.
AI is creating the greatest Packers team of all time. Whose all-time Packer team would win? Your all-time Packer team, or the AI's?
Probably the AI's, because I wouldn't always take into effect production. I'd probably go more emotion, just like my favorites, and those aren't always the best, but they're fun.
Right.
I'm sure, like, if we're going off stats, their team is going to be better, but they don't know the Packers like we know the Packers. They just look at a stat sheet. That's not the real thing. You got to watch the games. I mean, I've watched every Packers game probably since 2011. And the AI doesn't know. Like, they don't know us.
They don't know.
You gotta be involved. It's an emotional experience.
They don't know that prime Sam Shields is making my all-time Packers team.
They don't understand how good Nick Collins was.
Nick the pick, man.
Dude, and Tramon Williams, too. I mean, he had like 4 picks in that postseason in 2011.
Crazy.
It was insane. He won us so many games. I don't remember. I remember the interception against the Eagles. But, like, it's guys like that, like Sam Shields, Nick Collins, Tramon Williams in that era that, like, and Jermichael Finley, we had so many guys that if they played their career out, I think we win more than one ring, and like that's said more than just Rodgers. Like people put the blame on Rodgers, but they don't understand like the stuff that the Packers went through for those first like 3 years of Rodgers' career. It's just sad. That's all it is.
For all the money, man.
Yeah.
For all of it, it's like we couldn't have paid every single one of those guys, and it's hard to look back and be like, man, all these guys we couldn't get. But it's like, yeah, when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, it's a little tough to pay everybody else.
Yeah.
Especially, Tom Brady, he's gonna be the guy who's like, yeah, I want to take less money, and whatever.
Yeah.
No, dude, Rodgers wants.
It worked out for him.
I mean, Rodgers, when he retires, could be the highest paid quarterback of all time. I think right now it's either Peyton or Eli. Or one of those guys.
It might be. I think it might be Peyton right now.
I think so.
But I mean, in terms of career earnings, it might be Rodgers by the end of his career because he's gonna make a lot of money in New York too. So
for sure. I mean,
it's interesting to think about. But
he plays 1 or 2 more years. I mean, he's gonna add another $100 million to that.
Yeah.
Number. So
it's crazy.
I mean, and when Peyton Manning retired, what was the number for like a quarterback a year? Like 20. I remember like Derek Carr making like $25 million a year.
I remember that being a big deal.
That was crazy, man.
Yeah.
How much Derek Carr? 25.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. No. Looking at some of the Bucs stuff going on here, we're still just kind of looking at candidates and stuff.
Yeah.
I did see, like I talked about in the last episode, Monty Williams is looking like the front runner to be our head coach next year. How do you feel about that?
It's interesting because like it's the guy that beat us, or that we beat in the finals. Now, I don't know. Like, I know he's a good coach. I don't like how he coaches superstars, though. I'm not a fan. I would prefer someone else, personally. But, I mean, I know he's a good guy. He's a great guy. But we just need someone. I mean, this is going to be a big decision of who we're going to hire. Like, huge.
It has a lot riding on it because, Chris Middleton, he's saying he's leaning towards his option, which in my opinion means he's leaning towards the decision because he doesn't know who the coach is going to be. If the coach is a bad decision, he doesn't like the coach, he's not going to stay.
Right, exactly. I really don't have an opinion on who we should hire. I'm just like, Monty Williams, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like him and Bud are very similar, and we need something drastically different.
Right.
I just don't think he does enough different from what Budenholzer did. I mean, he got blown out twice in back-to-back years in elimination games at home, and didn't win anything. I mean, Coach Bud has a ring, and he doesn't. I don't know. I just don't think he does enough different for it to matter. I just don't think the team will look any different if we hire Monty Williams.
I think you're a lot right.
Yeah,
sure.
But we'll see. I mean, that's gonna unfold. We got a lot of time. They're interviewing a ton of people, so it's interesting. I mean, I know it's just rumors, but we'll find out. Bucks and Brewers are kind of stinky right now. And,
yeah, you were just at the Tampa Bay game.
Yeah,
how did that go?
So we go to school in Orlando, and the Brewers are playing a series in Tampa Bay this weekend, and so I go with a friend that I knew from back home, and we drive like 3 hours to go to Tampa, and we lose 1-0, and the game was 2 hours and 15 minutes. We drove further for a longer amount of time for a game that lasted 2 hours and 15 minutes in a game that we lost 1-0. In the second game in a row, they've been shut out. We play in about an hour and a half. So if we get shut out again, I don't know what I'm going to say. I mean, I know it's early in the season. I don't want to be like Frank from Barstool where it's like freaking out, but I don't know. It's just like, it's annoying that it's not cheap either to travel that far. And to see us not even put up a fight is.
You were not in a good mood last night.
Dude, I was not happy. I was not a happy camper because I just have bad luck with things like that, and I don't know. It was fun, and Tropicana, honestly, is the second worst stadium I've been in. If I were to make a list,
top 3, which are the worst ones?
The top 3 worst. Well, I would say the only worst ones, like the bad ones I've been to, have been United Center in Chicago, where the Bulls play, and Tropicana, where the Rays play. Those are just dumps. Like, United Center is hot. It's just it's really the Bradley Center, but in Chicago. It's a disgrace to Michael Jordan. It's horrible. I do not like that stadium. Tropicana is just a fever dream. That's how I describe it. Like you walk around and it's just like blue floor everywhere. Like they don't paint, like it's not normal things, and there's no upper deck really. It doesn't exist. It's not real. And it's just it's a weird vibe, and to go all the way there and watch us lose 1-0 is kind of a shame, but that's fine. We'll be back at it today.
Is it fine?
It is. It's fun to travel to new stadiums. I've been the best ones. Two best ones I've been to have been in Dallas where the Cowboys play, and then Cincinnati where the Reds play. That's like pristine. Those stadiums are awesome. But it's cool. I want to eventually go to every stadium, every MLB stadium for sure. But Miller Park, or American Family Field as they call it, which is so stupid. It's Miller Park to every Brewers fan. That's a great stadium. It's okay. I mean, it's fine. But whatever. Yeah. Brewers will pick it up, and Buck's looking for a new coach, and we're looking at ChatGPT for our Packers news.
Whoop-de-doo, huh?
Yeah, so...
I think that's it for us for this episode. Anything else you want to...
No, I mean, episode 2, we're just going through. I mean, it's not too much happening, but we're just making it work. It's fun to talk about the Packers, Brewers, Bucks. It's just...
As we go along, there's still stuff that's happening, with training camp and, interesting things that are going on. And
yeah, it'll start to ramp up as we get closer.
We're going to hear a lot about, interesting stories and stuff about these players that, Jaden Reed and stuff maybe we don't know too much about.
Right, exactly.
Like Jaden Reed, I heard, the wide receiver coach saying is, like, how much he looks just like Randall Cobb. And
that'd be fun.
Exactly.
That'd be fun. So we'll figure out more stuff like that. But, this was episode 2 of That Wisconsin Sports Show. So
we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. Have a good one.